Okay, I'm back for all the things that I made over the past week. And I haven't decided if my normal day to record and upload is going to be Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, but today is Tuesday, so I'm thinking it may turn out to be Tuesday. So going forward, I will try to post the new content on every Tuesday. And if I don't post new content, I'll put something in the channel as to why. So this past week, I made 3 travel journals, 3 extra large pamphlets, and 6 regular pamphlets. So this will either be one video that's longer or 3 videos that are shorter. We'll see how long it takes me to do the travel journals, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so as I mentioned in my previous video, I have run out of the leather treated file folders until I make some more. And I don't want to make any more until I exhaust other resources. But one thing that I discovered, well, and I'm also using the last of, I think I have one smaller piece of the raw paper left. So this is the last travel journal that will be made with raw paper as well. However, I discovered another technique where, in keeping with my intent to recycle as much as possible, where I take strips of paper. I watched a video on papyrus and how papyrus is made. And I was like, woo, I bet I could do that with glue and regular paper. So I have tons and tons of offcuts from all the different journals that I've made that are not 8.5 by 11 size or A4 size. So all those offcuts I used to make basically to make these 2 journals. So was it just 2? Yeah, just 2 so far. So, but now I have way more material to make more journals with than I have studs and things for the elastics, for the ties, and for the binding and whatnot. So I'll start with this one. This is one I finished earlier this morning. So I did elastic ties for the closure, and I haven't picked out a pin holder for this one yet. I decided to go with hot pink for the elastics on the side. I discovered, and you'll see it more when I show this one, that I'm trying to do a wider spine on either side to make more room so they don't look as chunky as they would otherwise. But I'm finding that since these are made from like just strips of paper that don't have any original structure to them, if I get the cutting wrong on evening out the edges, then I end up with something like this, where you can see where it's actually kind of, I intended to bend it along a straight line, but it didn't quite obey. So this is what we got. This is the first layer of paper. There's 3 layers of paper, one straight up and down, one side by side, and a final layer straight up and down. And literally this is offcuts from paper. You'll actually see the paper that I cut this off of when I show the pamphlet journals. The outside is, I stopped by Dollar Tree, and they had these panels, these stick-on panels of wallpaper that you could use to, tidy up a small space on the cheap, or just change the nature of a closet or an office area. And each square, I believe, was it's smaller than this because the white edges are actually hidden by the duct tape. But it's a pretty good size panel. So after I did layered the strips, and I used a purple tinted glue just for accent or whatnot, because that's the glue that I have the most of right now, actually. So I used this purple tinted glue and decided to go with a purple theme for the duct tape. I used duct tape to cover the edges instead of washi tape because, as I've mentioned in the past, my sewing machine is very unhappy with me. And even though I've cleaned it and tried to sew non-glue stuff, it's still not very happy with me. So I'm giving it a break, and I just did duct tape around the edges because that sticks without any problem whatsoever, and it never comes off. So the outside is a wallpaper panel, self-stick wallpaper panel, elastics from Daiso, duct tape from, I don't know, Target or Walmart or Amazon. Usually most of my duct tape that's specialty or colors comes from Target, I think. Some of it comes from Amazon, but most of it comes from Target. They have a really good, for whatever reason, back then, they had a really good selection of colored duct tape. So I have all kinds of different colors of duct tape. So inside, in keeping with the purple theme, I went with the same cascade of the different purples for the pocket protectors, the pages I put in between the pockets. For the pockets themselves, I used the black regular copy paper or 20-pound paper, I guess I should say, because you can't put black paper through a copy paper and get anything visible. So these, the pocket elements themselves are the craft paper, the packing paper that I treated with teal and pink and purple ink. But the teal is what the last one that I use, so it shows up the most. Of course, the obligatory writing board. And most of these pages actually have lines on them, so this will be mostly for a surface to bear down on. And the pages that don't have lines on them will probably, you could either go through 2 pages if you're not writing with something that would bleed through. And if you can't really see it from here, but I can see very softly the lines from the other piece of paper on it. This one, actually, I forgot. This one has lines on the back. I thought it was one of the ones that was blank on the back, but this one actually has lines on the back. And this is, I think, 21 or 22 pound paper, so it's kind of hard to see the lines anyway. So every other sheet could just be used for sketching, I guess. But this would still work as something to bear down on. Hot pink hair ties from Daiso. This is a combination of the last of the graph paper. I think that one will be maybe in the next one. I know that I had there it is. My last piece of graph paper that I had of the tear out notebooks, some regular copy paper, and all mixed in with what I have the most of right now, which is engineering paper. Of course, after this, I don't have as much engineering paper, but that's what it was when I put this one together. I think I put the first signature together from leftovers that I had from the previous ones that I'll show in a second. So I have a lot of engineering paper left. Well, not, like I said, not so much now. I've probably got maybe 2 more travel journals where I'll be using that. But I also have these green room legal pads. And so this particular signature is a combination of green room legal pads, either blue or pink, and then the engineering paper. So 15 sheets of engineering paper and 7 sheets of blue and 8 sheets of pink, I think is what's on this signature. And the same thing, reversed series of the same purple pocket protector sheets from cardstock. And I had a pair of pinking shears, but I didn't want to ruin them for fabric. So I decided to get a second pair of pinking shears specifically for paper. So I'll be able to do these kinds of fancy edges more evenly and more easily. My wavy cutter has, I have trouble keeping that one going straight, even with the ruler. So that is this one. Again, changed it to 1.5 inch spine, and it does seem like it's less clunky. I've just got to figure out how to keep these from bending crooked like this one did. And I've got to pick out a pin pocket pin holder for this one as well. So this is another one with the same motif. This is strips of paper that I laid out like a papyrus sheet and glued them down to the first layer, then glued the first layer to the second layer going the other direction, and then glued a third layer going the other direction. And then over top of that, actually I had considered Daiso hair elastics for the closure and for the binding, and duct tape again for the edges. And this is another wallpaper panel, and this is a pin holder that I picked out for this one. And you can see that the paper is the same paper, the same graph paper that's in the other one on the inside. Now this one, before I decided to use the wallpaper panel, I have these leftover pages from my church's anniversary from last year. I think it was last year or year before. So I've had them, I cut them up, use them for crafts because they're very, very sticky. They're the things that you put on the walls, but you're supposed to be able to tear them off without bringing the paint off the wall. That doesn't necessarily always work well. But the anniversary's passed, so there's nothing else to do with these but throw them away. And I'm like, well, I could maybe use those. So I put them on this side first, but then it didn't look like, I didn't like how it looked, basically. So that was when I decided to break out the panels that I had bought a while back and was like, oh, this would be a good opportunity to use one of these. And the size was perfect, of course. This one is slightly smaller. When I did the one I showed a second ago, I used a mixture of the graph paper and other paper strips that I had. And those other paper strips are not from 8.5 by 11 paper. So that one, the base platform for that one got kind of larger than I was anticipating. So I had to, do some things a little bit different. But this is the one I was talking about when I was like, I thought that it would be better if I had the wider part on the bottom and then slightly shorter parts on the top, and then the 1.5 inch spine on the edges. But then I got this trapezoid effect. I don't know if I like that or not, but it's stuck with this one. So decorative duct tape on the edges, wallpaper panel from Dollar Tree, pin holder, Daiso elastics for the binding and the closure. And you can actually see where I tried to do it in a way that it made it look like it was kind of like rough work or whatnot, but it's more apparent than I thought it would be, so I may actually put stickers on top of that. We'll see. So the normal writing board for this one, and I think all the pages in this one have lines. Nope, I take it back. So this one also has lines on the back side for those pages that don't have lines. So this one is a mixture of notebook paper, graph paper, engineering paper, and copy paper, basically. And this one is the same thing, notebook paper, engineering paper. I don't think there's any copy paper in this one. I think it's just engineering paper and notebook paper. And again, the same purple themed cardstock, because that's what, I think the one that I just showed is the last of these colors of purple, but I still have a bunch more of this particular color of purple, so you'll be seeing more of that as long as I have purple glue to accent off of. And final travel journal, and we're at 11 minutes, so yeah, I'll do 3 separate videos for the other 2 types of binding. So as I mentioned before, this is the last of the raw paper for binding, Daiso hair elastics for the closure and the binding. I did this one slightly different from the other raw paper ones in that I treated the raw paper with a spritzer of teal ink and purple ink, and I don't think I put any other colors because I also have red ink. I don't think I put any red ink on this one. I wanted to lean into the purple a bit more. So I have the teal ink and the purple. You can kind of see that. And then I covered the top of it with the soft touch, this soft touch acrylic paint to give it a really cool feeling. Because the raw paper is interesting an element as the raw paper is. I don't like how it feels, and it sheds when it's not sealed in. So the acrylic coating not only gives it a nice soft feel, but it also seals in a lot of those pieces and parts that fly off of it when it's not sealed. And inside, I did the same thing, but instead of with the soft touch acrylic, this is just the Elmer's metallic glue, and with the same sprays of ink and purple and teal ink as on the cover. But the glue really adds a nice sheen to it. I really like the effect and how that came out. And it also helps seal in all this stuff that this usually sheds. And this was before I got my pinking shears when I put this one together, so you can see that. So the same purple colors on the signatures, the writing board. And this one is, I believe this one is all Daiso sketchbook paper, I believe, cut down to size, because Daiso sketchbook paper is like 9 by 12 or something like that. So I cut it down to 9 by 11, I believe, is what I cut it down to. And then the same treated craft paper, packing paper for the pockets, and then the cardstock in between the pockets. Cool. So that is this one. And this one is one of the ones with the, before I started putting a formal, like bending it. This one, I sort of bent it a little bit just to give it a little bit more guidance on which way to go. But in this one, the trapezoid is reversed because the back is actually shorter than the 2 flaps. So it kind of turned the other way. And I don't know if I like that either. But this was my first attempt to try to put an actual spine here when I was going to put the grommets or the eyelets for this. And I think I probably need to do some more work on refining that process in terms of getting it to a more appealing, let's see, do I need 3? Yeah, 3 or 4. 4 ties. Whoop. There we go. So I can get a more consistent feel. And since I'm now going to be using the paper strips, I may need to use something to demarcate what my final desired size is going to be. That way I'm not as limited by this length of the paper strips as I was when I made the other 2 that I showed before. So that is 3 travel journals. Today is April 12th, 2026. 2 more videos to come.